We have selected the best games in our opinion, in some ways similar to World of Warcraft in terms of mechanics and gameplay, and in some ways completely different, but capable of becoming a worthy replacement for it. Guild Wars 2. Although Guild Wars 2 continues the best traditions of World of Warcraft in many ways, there are striking differences in the game that may interest a World of Warcraft veteran who has decided to migrate from his native Azeroth to the new world. Firstly, there are several classes in GW2 that have no analogs in Warcraft. A ghost that uses the powers of the departed heroes of bygone days, an elementalist, a hybrid of an elemental shaman and a mage, an illusionist that deals damage with the help of illusions and opens portals that can carry entire groups. Secondly, the usual system of talents is simply not here. There are 5 abilities based on the character's weapon, 1 healing, 3 secondary, and 1 elite. Thirdly, only the hero's personal line is similar to the classic quests in Guild Wars 2. The rest have replaced dynamic events, which require only being in the right place at the right time, and assignments that do not depend on the execution time. Fans of the Elder Scrolls series have long dreamed of an online version of their favorite game, especially after Skyrim gained wild popularity. And so, in 2014, fans of the Scrolls got what they wanted. So the events in which the player will take place about 1,000 years before the last part. The Elder Scrolls Online did a good job on the story, so the quest lines are quite exciting and varied. Almost the whole world can be explored. Even through seemingly impregnable mountains, it is possible to find a way. And NPC who give interesting side quests are sometimes found in the most unexpected and difficult places. The combat in the online version is practically no different from the rest of the series, so Skyrim fans will not have a hard time understanding it. The first incarnation of Final Fantasy XIV, released in 2010, turned out, frankly, so-so. But Square Enix knows how to fix the bugs, so the total revision of the project, released in 2013, called A Realm Reborn, can already compete on equal terms with the titans of the genre. There are 8 playable races to choose from, including almost classic humans and elves, as well as unique types like the dragon-like Ora, the militant Viera Amazons with cute rabbit ears, and the brutal Hrothgar, combining the features of humans and lions. A feature of the game is that the class of your character depends on the equipped weapon and can be changed at any time. Although Final Fantasy XIV and WoW don't have much in common, many fans of the latter go to Final Fantasy XIV for the sake of variety and new experiences. Neverwinter Online. Before the release of Neverwinter, many feared that Perfect World would once again produce something childishly cute. Fortunately, this did not happen, and a solid game appeared on the market, which will give odds to many well-known projects. Neverwinter is similar to World of Warcraft in many key points. There are PvE dungeon battles, PvP arena competitions, quest chains, many of which are even an order of magnitude more interesting than in World of Warcraft and quite traditional character leveling. But there are also striking differences. Neverwinter uses the now fashionable non-target combat system, and as a reward for completing certain quests, the player receives partners who need to be upgraded separately in the Sword Coast Adventures application. It cannot be said that Lord of the Rings Online can compete with World of Warcraft, but the game finds many fans after all. It is still the only multiplayer project in the Tolkien universe. Rue fans will be delighted. The developers have studied all the books of the Professor's pen in order to achieve maximum accuracy and complete immersion in the wonderful world he created, and traveling through Middle-earth, you can even accidentally meet the Brotherhood of the Ring and feel involved in epic events. The graphics, of course, leave much to be desired, but do not forget that the game has been around for many years. At the same time, the locations are drawn to the smallest detail and exactly correspond to Tolkien's descriptions. Runes of Magic. Having started the game, an experienced World of Warcraft fighter will hardly find many differences between him and Runes of Magic. Training quests in the starting location, a standard grind, a couple of skills at the initial stage, except that the graphics are different. But the first innovation catches your eye almost immediately. You need to start the day here by completing the dailies, which can be found on the bulletin board. Furthermore, in addition to experience for quests and killing mobs, the character receives talent points for pumping abilities, which can also have their own levels, and there are no development branches at all. Aion. The brainchild of NC Soft Aion boasts many of the features typical of Korean games. Everything here looks very cute, bright and colorful, a large selection of giant weapons, and the female characters are sexy beyond measure. The player will find himself in a world split into two parts. In one, beautiful and friendly, the Elios live; in the second, dull and gloomy, the Asmodeans settled. Their territories are divided by the Abyss, inhabited by the non-playable Baoa race, whose task is to maintain a balance between the opposing sides. When creating a character, you can choose from 7 classes, while at the 10th level, everyone except artists has a choice of 2 development paths. At the same level, the character gets wings, which makes his life much easier, and already from level 25, you can take part in PvP battles. For those who like to bother with the appearance of their character, there is good news: the editor has a huge number of options, so you will hardly meet a character that will look the same as yours. Star Wars: The Old Republic. Immediately after the release of Star Wars, the Old Republic was accused of copying World of Warcraft. Yes, many elements were indeed borrowed from the early World of Warcraft, but reproaching the developers for following the traditions of the genre is at least strange, because it is for dungeons, raids, quests, PvP arenas, and other features that we love it. And in fact, Star Wars: The Old Republic is attractive not even for this. The plot really matters here. If in the same World of Warcraft, the text of the quest, in fact, cannot be read, it is enough to put a couple of add-ons that will show themselves where to go and who to beat. Then there are already 8 interesting storylines. At the same time, all the characters are professionally voiced, and good facial animation helps to fully immerse yourself in what is happening. In addition, a character in Star Wars: The Old Republic is not just your reflection, which does not have its own will. All the answers in the dialogues depend on its personal history, class, belonging to the light or dark side of the Force. Fans of the saga should definitely pay attention to this MMO. Rift. In terms of style, game mechanics, and in a sense, even graphics, the MMORPG Rift, released in 2011, directly copies World of Warcraft. The plot of the Rift takes place on the planet Tera. Instead of the Horde and the Alliance, here the characters are united in the Renegades and Guardians factions. The former use magic in combination with technology. The latter develop technologies and fight with the help of various steampunk mechanisms. But both of them have one global goal: to protect the world from the forces of darkness and the Destroyer. Character leveling is quite classic. By completing quests, killing monsters, the hero gains experience and levels up, improving his abilities and getting new ones in the selected development branch. You need to pump not only the character but also his equipment, which makes the gameplay more interesting and makes it possible to create your own unique hero. At one time, Black Desert was on the crest of a wave of a new generation of MMORPG. That's what it was notable for, which differed from most of the polished combat system with combo techniques, a detailed character editor, and a realistically drawn world. In it, you can equip caravans and purchase houses, hire workers, and tame wild horses. The game was head and shoulders ahead of competitors in terms of innovation, and Pearl Abyss was guided by creating it, by no means on the brainchild of Blizzard. At the same time, it was PDO, with its medieval fantasy setting, witchcraft, and huge monsters, that became a very worthy alternative to World of Warcraft and remains so to this day. ArchAge. After 9 years of battling fearsome forces that endlessly threaten the well-being of Azeroth, many of us have been looking forward to the release of this game. ArchAge promised us freedom of action in a world developed by players, a house with its own garden, sailing, and guild wars with sieges, as well as open PvP, which pirate and aggressive communities did not fail to take advantage of. Despite the striking visual differences and a completely different concept of the world, this game is united with World of Warcraft by the same division into 2 warring alliances, as in the Blizzard game, settled on different continents. In it, the same combat system and class development is determined by the talents to choose from, and in ArchAge, a fantasy setting with elves and magic. Blade and Soul. A very oriental game with a characteristic glossy art and a very special combat system, which makes Blade and Soul more like a fighting game than a role-playing multiplayer game in its usual form. It is the combat, and not long-legged beauties at all, that is the most attractive feature of the project, and it also makes Blade and Soul fundamentally different from games like World of Warcraft. At the same time, players who were fed up with classic MMORPG often left Blade and Soul for new sensations, since it was she who, like World of Warcraft at one time, diluted the stagnant genre with novelty, dynamism, unusual classes, and no less unusual races. Tera was one of the first to offer a non-target combat system to MMO fans and let them travel around the colorful world with a very low entry threshold. Korean games were not friendly to beginners in those days. For the magnificent landscapes and interesting gameplay, she was even forgiven for the corridors of invisible walls, which looked wild in the days of seamless MMORPG. If we draw parallels with World of Warcraft, it can be noted that both games differ from most others in an extremely cozy atmosphere. Mastering Tera is pleasant and easy, exploring the world is interesting, and the chosen class feels very good in both PvP and PvE activities. Crimson Desert. A new Pearl Abyss project with cinematic graphics and gameplay that will inherit the best features of their previous MMORPG. Events unfold on the northern continent and immerse players in the internecine wars of local peoples. To date, this is the largest work of South Korean game developers, and it is quite possible that, as BDO did in its time, it will lure thousands of players from other multiplayer games, including World of Warcraft, into its world. Ashes of Creation. Overstayed in the development of the project with a claim to the role-playing game of the new generation. The embodiment of a seamless world, excellent graphics, and player-driven storytelling in Ashes of Creation promises to please veteran MMORPG with a pleasant novelty, while most of the game mechanics, on the contrary, will remind them of traditional games of the genre like World of Warcraft. New World. Perhaps the most anticipated multiplayer open-world sandbox, game in which players will become the colonizers of a new world inhabited by mysterious creatures and join one of 3 warring factions. Travelers will find a huge and very beautiful world supported by Amazon Web Service technology, an unusual class system, and a plethora of interesting activities. If any new MMORPG is capable of breathing new life into a shrunken genre, as World of Warcraft once did, then this is New World. If your favorite game is not included in this list, write in the comments. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to our channel, watch our other videos, press like, turn on notifications, and you will always